Hi, Jesse with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at, and I'll show you how to install the Blue Ox base plate on this 2017 Honda Fit. The base plate acts as the structural connection between your vehicle and the tow bars. It's one of the 5 main components when setting your vehicle up for flat tow. Starting with the base plate, then you go to the tow bar, which is the physical link between the two, your motorhome and your vehicle. Then we have safety cables. These are here just in case of a catastrophic disconnect. They're going to be your last resort to hold everything together. Then we have diode wiring. These will send the signal from your motorhome's taillights to the rear of your towed vehicle, just to ensure that other drivers on the road know what you're doing. And then you would have a supplemental braking system that allows you to use the brakes of your towed vehicle and not only rely on the brakes on your motorhome. This is what the base plate looks like when everything's hooked up, ready to tow. You can see your arm comes out here, it connects into the base plate there, which connects your tow bar. Then we have these nice, super accessible safety cable loops to hook up your safety cables. Then a nice mounting point for your diode wiring. And then included with the base plate comes a bracket for your breakaway switch if you were adding a braking system to it. Here's a look at our base plate when we have nothing connected to it. It'll come with these rubber caps. I recommend having those in anytime you're disconnected, just to keep all the dirt and debris from getting in there. When you are ready to hook everything up, slide that cap out. Take your arm, slide it in, and then a quarter turn will lock that into place. And we'll take our tow bar, line all the holes up, slide your pin in, and fasten your clip. Today we have this hooked up to an etrailer tow bar. However, this will work with many other brands, whether it be Blue Ox, Demco, or Roadmaster. Just be sure that if you already have an existing tow bar, double check, make sure it will fit with these arms. If not, you can always get an adapter. As far as the install goes, you do have to remove the fascia and then do some minor trimming. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward as far as base plates go. If this is not something that you're ready to tackle yourself, feel free to check out our dealer locator. However, if you are ready to do this yourself, feel free to follow along this video. We're going to begin our installation here under the hood, just removing some push pin fasteners, starting with these 3 on the passenger side. Just pull that center piece up and it should come out. We have 3 here, and then when I get to this one, I just want to show you how to do these. On these push pins that hold this little snorkel, you just push down that middle piece and then kind of lift up on this rubber and pull it out. Here in the wheel well, we have a push pin fastener and a Phillips screw. Then we'll pull back the wheel liner to reveal another Phillips screw. And once we get this screw out, we'll repeat that process on the other side. Here under the vehicle, we have some more push pins. There should be 7 total push pins to remove, starting with this outer edge. Now we get the outer edge, and then there should be 4 up here in the middle. We don't have to remove these front ones. We have 2 Phillips screws, 1 on each side. Remove those. Now with an extra set of hands, I have my friend Brad here helping me out. Just start from the outside, work your way in. It should just be held on by clips at this point. On some of these, it helps to kind of push the bumper up to release them. At this point, we have it pulled out a bit. You'll have to reach under. There's an electrical connector holding the fog light in. Should just push the tab in and then pull it out. Now everything is disconnected, we'll set this aside. With the fascia removed, we'll need to disconnect this temperature sensor and also pop this off of the bumper beam. Just getting this out of our way for now. Now we have these plastic pieces hanging down on both sides. We're just going to cut these just with some tin snips. It's soft rubber, so it shouldn't crack at all. Just cut it flush with the bottom of the bumper. And then it might be held on by a little tab or something, and that's just going to get tossed aside. We have 5 bolts that hold the bumper into place on each side. There's a 12mm bolts. Just gonna remove each one for now. And to access this 5th one, we'll need to get an extension to go through this bumper hole. Now with all the bolts removed, we'll take the bumper off, just lift it up above the tabs, and pull it out, and we'll set that aside. Now we need to remove the washer fluid reservoir just to get it out of our way. There's a push pin that holds the filler neck up. Just pop that out. And then this filler neck should come out from the reservoir. Just make sure you're not too full to where you're going to spill. You should just be able to kind of wiggle it, pop it off. We'll set that aside. Now we have, before we remove the bolts, we need to disconnect the electrical connector for the pump. Put that out of our way, and then give ourselves some slack on the hoses. So I'm not actually going to remove the reservoir, I'm just going to kind of push it out of our way. So 2 10mm bolts. I'll have to support the weight of it. Now very carefully so that we don't spill. I have a bungee cord here that I should hopefully be able to hook up to. For our reservoir, I just have it hung off to the side. You could, of course, dump this out into a bucket and then dump it back in when we go to reinstall, but this is how I'm doing this today. So we're going to raise our base plate into place. Kind of just have to tilt it back. It'll line up with the outside of the bumper. Slide it up into place, and for now I'm just going to leave it resting there. Now we need to get our base plate in the correct position. I have a clamp just holding that on the other side. We're going to go all the way up and then all the way forward as far as we can, and then get a C-clamp just to hold it in place. So we need to drill some holes, 3 on each side. They're going to eventually be 3/8 drill bit holes, but I'm going to start with a smaller bit just to start a pilot hole. So with our clamp holding it in place, just try and get as centered as possible. our 3/8 drill bit, drill through. At this point, I'm going to install one piece of hardware on this side just to get this big clamp out of our way. So all of our hardware will install the same way. We'll put some Loctite on the bolt and slide that through. And then it will be lock washer, and then our nut. So I'll get this tightened down with a 9/16 socket and wrench. That way I can get this clamp out of my way to drill our other two holes. The one difference with the way we're setting up the hardware is these back bolts, just like the others, you'll put some red Loctite on it. But we have this nut plate with a stick welded on. And our lock washer is actually going to go on the outside. So get that started, slide that through. And then we'll spin that bolt on to get it started. And now we're ready to tighten all the other ones down. Now we're going to torque all these bolts down to the specification listed in the instructions. If you do not own your own torque wrench, then we do have them available here at etrailer, or you could always rent one from your local auto parts store. So I'll torque all 6 of these down, and then I'll also get the bumper reinstalled and torque those down. Before we reinstall the bumper, we have these rods sticking out. You can just break those off by wiggling them back and forth. Then they should pop off. When you go to place your bumper back into place, you'll notice that this ambient air sensor will kind of be hitting here. So I just popped it out of there using a trim panel tool. What we're going to do is just zip tie it to the base plate here. So I'll get it plugged in first. And then this piece can slide out. We don't need that anymore. Lift up on that, should release it. So I'm just I'll zip tie it onto the top here. We need to install our safety cables. These are just here as a last resort in case of a catastrophic disconnect. They will hold everything into place. So we just need to make sure that we get this wrapped around a structural component of the vehicle. On this driver's side, it's kind of tight with the condenser and radiator. So I'm going to go down here, loop it around twice. And then on our base plate, there's going to be a little mounting bracket, I guess you would say. So we'll get our quick connect. And then make sure both ends of the safety cable get into that. And then on the passenger side, I did mine a little different than this side, but it's the same concept. You just need to make sure that you're wrapped around a strong structural point of the vehicle and then into the base plate. Now with everything bolted on and our safety cables ran, it's a good time to add on any other flat toe components you might have, like diode wiring or supplemental braking. But otherwise, with the fascia off, we're going to have to mock it up and then trim some of it out. So we will get to that and I'll show you what we did. So we mocked up the fascia and I marked out where our wiring is going to come out. I just have some tin snips to cut through this. You could also use a Dremel or something like that. We're just going to cut that out. Then we'll mock it up again, make sure everything will fit. And then we're ready to reinstall the fascia. With the fascia reinstalled, just the reverse of how we took it off, you can see where I cut out and how clean it looks. And that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the Blue Ox base plate with removable arms on our 2017 Honda Fit.